Namo Doi Sauriyantanam, Namo Doi Sauridanam, Namo Doi Saurayiriyanam, Namo Doi Saurajayanam, Namo Doi Sautridalavati Savanam, Omkaram Sanyutta Nityam Jayanti Yogina, Kamadam Okshadam Chayumkarai Namo Namo, Manganam Bhagavan Viro Manganam Rupanuri, Mangalam Kunkundari Ujendram Rosamangalam Namasanarisadhan. Swanubhutya Chakasti Chit Swadhay Bhavaya Sarvana. Vivav Nidata.
Okay. Mamo Arantana, Mamo Siddhana, Mamo Aryana, Mamo Jana, Mamo Loya Samsana. Eso Panchamukara Savapapa, Shamangalancha Savasampramam. Omkaram Bindu Sanyuktam Nityan Dhayanti Yoginam Kamadam Moksham Cheva Omkaraya Namo. Namo Samaysaraya Swanu Bhutya Chakasate Chitsava Bhavaya Sarva Bhavantarachide. Agnana Timirandanam Gnana Anjana Salakha Chaksun Miltam Yana Tasme Sri Guruvena. Kirtan Karo Jagatana Jayavanta Varto Omkaranada Jinana Jayavanta Varto Jinana Samo Sarana Sao Jayavanta Varto Netirthachara Jagama Jayavanta Varto Namo Tirthanayakane Namo Omkaranadane Omkara Sangarotene Namo Te Sri Kunda Kundane Aho Upakara Jinavarano Kundano Dvani Divyano Jina Kunda Dvaniyapya Aho Te Guru Kanano Aho Te Bhagavati Matano Dhruva Achalane Anupamagati Pamel Sarve Siddhane Vandi Kahon Sutta Kevalika Tita Asamaya Prabrata Are Unye Kasudha Sada Aruti Jnana Darshanamaya Kare Kai Anyate Maru Jari Paramanu Matranati Hare Om Namah Siddhebhyo Om Namah Siddhebhyo Om Namah Siddhebhyo Jai Janandra everybody. We'll be starting. I sent out the slides to all of you, so hopefully you have it. And we'll start from this current slide. Okay, so we are at the Mangalacharan. Mangalacharan is written by Acharya Amritchandracharya Dev. Amritchandracharya Dev wrote the critiques on Samaysar. Samaysar originally is written by Kunkun Swami, and after Kunkun Swami writing the Samaysar, after 1,000 years, Amritchandracharya Dev came and he wrote the critics on Samaysar. And he wrote 3 stanzas for invocation of blessings. From Mangalacharan, he gave us 3 stanzas. And this is the first stanza, which we have discussed last week of most of the part. So the part that we have discussed, we'll go through quickly. Nama Samaysaraya Swanu Bhutya Chakasate Chit Sabhavaya Bhavaya Sarva Bhavantara Chide. What does this mean? Nama Samaysaraya. What Nama Samaysaraya means? It means I bow down to Samaysar. Now, Samay means Atma. What Samay means soul, Atma. Saraya. Saraya means one which is devoid of quasi-karma, material karma, and psychic karma. As we talked last week, 2 weeks back, quasi-karma means body, senses, my possessions, and all the things. Means anything that I have relationships besides material karma is known as quasi-karma. The closest association I have with any material thing is a body. So in general, quasi-karma is equated with body in general when we read the scripture. But quasi-karma means anything in the universe besides my soul anything besides any material karma is known as quasi-karma. So, but the saraya means a soul which is devoid of quasi-karma, means body. Material karma means all 8 types of material karma. And psychic karma. Psychic karma means bhav karma. Bhav karma means I have the rag and dvesh within me. I have inclination of attachment and aversion within me. I have a anger, deceit, ego, and greed within me. I have ignorance within me, and those things are known as psychic karma. So quasi karma means no karma, material karma means dravya karma, and psychic karma, material karma is dravya, and psychic karma is bhav karma. So the soul which is devoid of no karma, dravya karma, and bhav karma, that kind of soul is the one which is most important, and I bow down to that. And this is from absolute point of view, I bow down to my own pure nature of the soul, and from conventional point of view, I bow down to the liberated soul, Siddha Bhagwan. So that's what it says over here. And next one is a word comes bhavaya. Bhavaya means what? Bhavaya means substance is pure and has natural form of existence since eternity. Bhavaya means Suddha Satta Swarup Vastu, means it's the soul substance. Any substance is made up of 3 things: substance, multiple attributes, and each attribute has their own mode all the time. Substance, mode, attribute, dravya, gun, parya. So now bhavaya word comes from the dravya perspective. Bhavaya means the eternal soul substance which is pure in its natural form forever, and this definition is from the substance perspective for the soul. Now, the author very nicely starts refuting lots of other philosophies which which uh, which propagates the idea which is contradictory to Jain principles. So nihilistic view, Nastic, means there are people, there is a one philosophy which believes that there is no God, no nothing, I'm here, I'm just going to be enjoying this my life, eat, drink, and be merry, and that's it. And once I'm dead, I'm dead. That's it. So that's a nihilistic view, which in which they don't believe in soul at all. Now, Jains believe that from certain perspective, soul does exist, and from other perspective, soul doesn't exist. What does it mean? From self perspective, from my perspective, soul exists, but from alien perspective, from parpadar, from the material things and matter and everybody else, from other substance perspective, I don't exist. That means me, I have an independent existence of myself, regardless of any other substances in the universe. So that means it's a word means bhavaya. Now there is other word came chit swabhavaya. Remember that over here, Samaysar, we just say bhavaya word first, then other one is chit swabhavaya, then we'll take third one is swanubhutya. So let's say chit swabhavaya. What it says chit swabhavaya? Chit swabhava says the consciousness, chaitanyatva, the nature of the substance. What is chaitanyatva means what? Chaitanyatva means knowledge and perception, jnana and darshan. Jnana and darshan both are considered as chaitanyatva, chit. Chit means chaitanyatva, means consciousness. Now remember, this darshan means my perception, general perception. That's called darshan. When we are going through the detail of the philosophy as we progress, we'll see the darshan word will be used at different places. Darshan word is used over here mainly from perception perspective. Just before the knowledge occurs, there is generalized perception. For example, uh, I see a group of people, that thousands of people I see. That's called perception. But then, how many men, how many women, how many children, how many older people, how many blacks, how many whites, how many Indians, all those things are called knowledge. Just first thing is called perception. That's called darshan. So this darshan is one meaning. Second meaning for darshan will be most commonly used is for this samyak darshan, means a faith perspective. I have a faith, I have an experience of my soul, and that is called darshan. I have a atma darshan. I have experience of my true nature of the soul, and that is also another word darshan is used. Third place darshan is used is different philosophies. Hindu darshan, Jain darshan, Buddha darshan, all those different philosophies are also called darshan. So we have to be very careful which word is used in what context. Over here, word darshan is used in the form of perception capacity of the soul. Now, consciousness is with the eternal soul substance. Remember, soul substance is a substance. Consciousness is a one attribute of the out of infinite attribute. One attribute is a consciousness, and that consciousness is associated with the eternal soul substance. It's not associated; it is actually engraved into the soul substance. Means attribute, that means consciousness over here, and attributor, that means a soul substance. They are in indivisible state. You cannot separate chit swabhavai from soul substance. For example, you cannot separate sweetness from the sugar. Sugar means sweetness, sweetness means sugar. So they are in indivisible state. Same way, consciousness and soul substance, they are exactly indivisible state. So if you say chit svabhava means consciousness, means soul substance, and other way around, soul substance means chit svabhava, means consciousness. Okay? And this definition that we are talking is from the attribute perspective. Remember, bhavaya we took it, that is from the substance perspective. Chit sabhava we are taking from the attribute perspective. Now, here also it starts refuting few of the philosophies. Nayayik is one of the philosophy which believes that attribute and attributors are always separate. They believe that sweetness and sugar are two separate things. Jainism says, no, that's not true. Jains believe that attributes and attributor can be separate from certain perspective. They may not be entirely separate, but they are separate from some perspective, and they are indivisible state from the other perspective. What happens? From the name perspective, for example, soul substance, atma, it's called dravya. And chit sabhava means chaitanyatva, that is the attribute. So they are different names. So they are different that way. Number, soul substance is one, and attributes are infinite in number. So from number perspective, they both are separate. From area perspective, they are separate. From property perspective, they are separate. These are the things will be coming in the later gathas. So we are just trying to just superficially talking about it. So there are differences between attributes and substance. From the other perspective, when we look, the attribute and substance are indivisible state. So certain aspect, a certain perspective, they are separate, but other perspective, they are same. So it refutes that Nayayik philosophy. Soul substance is infinite power to know, because knowledge attributes mode has infinite capacity to know. What we say, soul knows everything. How does soul know? Because soul has a chaitanyatva attribute. Soul has a consciousness attribute. Soul has a knowledge and perception attribute. That's why soul knows all the things. So they are kind of use intermingle interchangeably both the words. Now, third point is coming, Swanubhutya Chakasate. Swanubhutya means what? It illuminates its own, it illuminates with its own self-experience. What does it mean? Swanubhutya means self-experience. Chakasate means illumination. So I illuminate my eternal nature of that soul substance by myself only. What is it? I illuminate means I understand my soul substance because of me alone. Nobody else is going to help me out in that knowledge. Soul's activity is to illuminate the self. What is the soul's activity? Soul's activity. Whenever you say activity, that means this is the modal perspective. From Paryay perspective, we are talking. So soul's activity is to illuminate the self, means Swa Anubhavan Rup Kriya. When I illuminate myself, then I experience myself, and that's what Swanubhutya Chakasate means. Now, once I illuminate myself, then I get engrossed within. Why? Because it produces supersensuous bliss. It gives Atindriya Anand. Supersensuous bliss means the bliss which is beyond any of these senses, beyond the senses. For example, I'm eating the good food and I'm enjoying because my enjoyment is from what perspective? My enjoyment is occurring from taste perspective. I'm watching something. My enjoyment is occurring from a vision perspective. Here, all the five senses, we can take examples, and as a result, I enjoy, but that's a sensual pleasure. The soul, when you experience the soul, then there is a tremendous amount of bliss, which is supersensuous in nature, and this supersensuous bliss is occurring, then I get engrossed within my soul, my soul's experience. Now, this illumination is done with a mode of unity of knowledge, faith, and conduct. Jnana, darshan, charitra, all three modes will be in the unity, and that will give the illumination of the nature of the soul. And that means knowledge of the self occurs by the self only. There is no relationship of any alien object for me getting knowledge of my own self. And the fruition of this knowledge of knowing the self is a supersensuous bliss. So that's the one that we have to understand. Supersensuous bliss comes from my own experience. My own experience comes because of myself only. Nobody interferes in that one. And when it's complete, then it's called liberation, means moksha. When it's partially complete, then it's an aspirant phase, means it's a sadhak, means it's a gnani purush. One who has obtained fourth gunsthanak and fifth and sixth, all the way up to 12th gunsthanak is called aspirant soul. That means he is partially complete sensuous bliss, and that is called aspirant soul. At 13 and 14 gunsthanak and beyond, that means Siddha Dasa, there is a complete bliss, and that is a liberation state. So Swanubhutya Chakasate, this is from positive aspect, because what we are talking, aspirant soul is having stoppage and shading element. Gnani Purush, from 4th Gunsthanak to 12th Gunsthanak onwards, they have Samvar and Nirjara Tattva. They have stoppage and shading element. Now, perfect soul, when he obtains a Keval Gnan and of beyond, then it's called Moksha Tattva. So, complete purity is called liberation element. Partial purity is known as Samvar Nirjara, and partial purity means partial understanding of the true nature of the self. Liberation means complete understanding of the true nature of the self. So that's a somewhere nijara moksha means all these three things are from the positive aspect. Here, we are not talking about inflow and bondage. We are not talking astral and bandha element because they are to be understood from negative perspective that when positive perspective is going on, someone nijara moksha is going on, that means definitely there is absence of astral and bandh. When there is a light, you don't need to describe that there is absence of darkness. Light means absence of darkness. That means samvara, nijra, and moksha. That means absence of inflow and bondage. Of course, author has not mentioned, but he wants us to understand in between the lines what he wants to convey to us. To know the self, soul does not need any help from instrumental cause or inclination of attachment, etc. To know the soul, to experience the soul, I don't need any rag and dvesh, I don't need any nimit karan, everything. Remember, whenever the upadan, whenever the principal action occurs within me in the form of knowing my true nature of the self, that means there is presence of associated instrumental causes are present. When I am experiencing myself, then there is a presence of Dev, Shastra and Guru as a nimit. Means omniscient lords are there, holy scriptures are there, and enlightened true teachers are present in the form of nimit. But what does nimit do? Remember, we will hit this again and again. Nimit means it's present when the action is occurring, but it does not take part in the action at all. Fish wants to swim, water is a nimit, but water does not do anything for the fish to swim. It just simply present. Same way, when I experience myself, at that time, Dev, Shastra, Guru, Omniscient Lord, Holy Scripture, and enlightened true teachers are present, but they don't do anything to me. Excuse me. Same way, rag and dvesh. Of course, dvesh we are not. We know dvesh does not take part in understanding. But rag, for example, I do bhakti, I do swadhyay, I do puja, I do vrat, I do tap, I do austerity, I do fasting. All those things, are they going to help me in obtaining self-realization or not? Over here it says nothing of those things will help. Only my own self-effort, my own purusha will help me to know my true nature of the self. So that is Swami Bhutya Chakasate. Now, over here, this one refutes the belief of soul and knowledge are always in indirect in nature. There is certain philosophy, they believe that knowledge occurs in indirectly. What does a knowledge occurs indirectly means? Means if there is a lamp, to know the lamp, we need another lamp. That kind of belief, some philosophies they have it. Jaimini, but Prabhakars, there are certain philosophies, Indian philosophies, that they believe in this way that knowledge is always indirect in nature, and so those things are refuted in this one. It says that in lower state, Jainism perspective says, in lower state, there could be some indirectness from certain perspective, but not entirely. For example, Keval Gnan, omniscience knowledge, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, I think somebody else is logging in here. Okay. Hold it 1 second.